Today, we're going to be showing you how to make a weighted lap pet for a child with special needs. First, let's tackle the supplies you need. Most important, find a stuffed animal or doll with soft but strong fabric that is stuffed with batting. Batting is the cottony stuffing in most stuffed animals. It should be big enough to lay comfortably across a child's lap. To save some cash, you can upcycle an old or favorite toy, but keep in mind you will be cutting it open, so make sure the child is going to be okay with that or else you may have some tears. Next, make sure you have small scissors, like nail scissors, or a seam ripper. Also, find some snack-sized zip-top bags. You'll also need some tape, preferably with some stretch to it, such as medical tape. And of course, you'll also need a filler to replace the stuffing. You will need approximately 2 to 4 pounds, depending on the size of your toy. Some options can include dried beans, or rice, or even polyfill beads. A bowl and scooper can be helpful here. Last but not least, you'll need a way to close the seam. If you are concerned with the child being able to remove the weights, you will want to seal the opening permanently with hot glue or sewing. However, if you are more concerned with being able to clean the toy, you may want to make the seam resealable so you can easily remove the weights. That's what we'll be doing today with snaps. So now that we've collected all of our supplies, we're going to begin the surgery. So as you can see here, we're going to basically try to find a seam somewhere on the toy that's inconspicuous. So we've chosen a spot underneath the stuffed dog here. And we're going to take small scissors like our nail scissors from before and open up a seam. You can see I've already done that here, but typically try to make it about 4 to 5 inches in length. Once you've done that, you are going to begin to remove the stuffing. So we're going to take out a good amount here, enough so that we have room to add in the weighted bags that we'll be doing next. And just put that off to the side. You may want to keep it handy in case you want to add some back in later. And then we will begin to fill the small Ziploc bags, the snack size bags, with the weights. So I will take about 1 to 2 to maybe some 3 scoops here. What I want to do is fill up the Ziploc bag with enough room so that it's not all the way to the top, preventing me from closing it or manipulating it later, but enough that there's definitely a weight in there. And the other thing I want to do is make sure that all the air is pressed out of this as I close it. Just to add a little more security, the other thing that you might want to do is actually invert it and place it in another Ziploc bag. And if you want an additional layer of security, you can also take your medical tape from before and you can wrap it around the bag. So you can see a finished example right here where we've done just that. Nice and firm and compact. Once you have all that set up, it's time to begin stuffing the dog with the weights. So we're just going to go ahead and tuck these in here until we have enough that we feel enough of a weight for the dog. So just sort of test it as you go. And after we're done, we're going to close up the seam. So now that we've added all the weights back into the dog, the first thing we're going to do to close up the seam is actually take them out. And the reason we're going to do this, I'm just going to take out a few here, is so that we can actually manipulate the seam a lot better for this closing process. And we're going to add these back in before we close it up finally. So what we're going to be using here are snaps. You can see I have a few examples here, as well as a snap maker. Snap makers are awesome. They're usually about less than $20, and they really are used just like a stapler, as you can see here, to push the snaps together. So what we did here is we added 3 snaps to align with the size of our seam, and after we applied 1 set to each side, we made sure that it closed in a way that it would go over the seam as opposed to pushing the seam up against each other. As you can see, this looks a lot nicer to close things that way. And last but not least, once you have everything set up with the snaps, you put the bags back in the dog. You may want to have a needle and thread as well, just to close up any loose ends that may have come a little bit more undone with the process. And after that, you have your lap dog.